Welcome to episode 38 of the tutorial series Livewire 3 from scratch. My name is William Juma. In this episode, I want us to create a simple loan calculator application that can be able to check the cost of each loan that is offered by different banks, And what I want us to do, we are going to do it in a very simple way. It is a video request that was requested by one of the members, the subscribers, and I just want us to do something about it such that even if whatever it is that I do is not exactly what they wanted to implement, but they can be able to get some cues from what I have here. I want us to go ahead and create a component. So I want us to run the command php artisan make livewire, and this one, now we are just creating the livewire component where we create the livewire class and then the livewire blade file. So make livewire, and in this case I want us to say loan calculator. I'm going to hit enter, and of course it's going to create for us the two files. I want us to begin working on the view first. So I'll open resources, views, livewire, and inside here I'm looking for loan calculator. This is the file that we need to work on. And so I want us to have a title here. I'm going to call it loan, or maybe simple loan calculator, because it's very simple. Loan calculator, like that. And then I want us to have a card here. So I'm going to have div with a class of a card, and then we will close that div, and then we will have it like that. I also want us to have div with a class of body, that is card body hyphen body. And then inside here I want us to have a row, so div class row, like that. And inside the rows I want us to have several columns, so div class column. This is our first column, and we are going to close it like that. And what I want us to have inside here is loan amount. I want it to be at least big in terms of size, so I have h3 tag. I want to have loan amount, like that. I want us to have another column similar to this. I'm going to paste this one here, and this column of ours, I want us to give it input group, input hyphen group. Then we can also have it as MB3, such that it will group our inputs together, because I want the sort of like a button to be attached to the input, but the button will just be for displaying something, not as a button. So inside here I want us to have input type. We can have number, and we can have wire model, and I want it to be amount, the value, the property that you'll be dealing with. I want it to be live, such that it will be updating as we type. And then I also want us to give it a class of a form hyphen control, like that. I believe this input has everything that we require. I want us to have a button below here such that they will be attached together. So button, and I want us to give the button a class of btn, maybe primary, like that. And the name of the button, I want it to be a currency. So in this case, I'll just put KES. This is a currency. You can put here dollars. You can put whatever it is that you like. I'd like to copy this one. The previous row. The previous column, and paste it here. And what I want us to have here is the period. And then I want to still copy the input that we have here and then paste it here. And this one, I want it to be wire model.period. In my implementation, I want us to have two ways in which we can be able to fill in values in the input. So in this case, we are going to have another input which we will use a range slider. So I just want to copy this row here and then move downwards to the place where we are having the end of the previous one, and I believe it is here. And then here we are going to paste and then have the bootstrap range. And I want to put the two of them in columns also, so I'm going to copy this and paste two columns here and save and see how they look. Obviously we need to create a route for us to be able to show this. So I'm going to open routes web.php, and inside here I want us to have route get. And what I need to have is I want to just call it loan, like that, and then we are going to have the loan calculator class, and then above here we are supposed to import the loan calculator component or Livewire class, like that. So what I will do, if I'm to visit loan, we're supposed to see what we have here, if everything is okay, and I think it's displaying perfectly. But these ones I want to change them to a range slider. So I will go back to my in this case my blade file, and then here instead of having period, I want us to have an input, and the type is a range, and the class is a form hyphen range, and then we have a minimum value. I want the minimum value for the amount to be 500, and the maximum value for the amount to be 50,000. And I also want to have wire model here, and we are going to have wire model.live, and we are going for this first one, it's going to be amount. It's the same as the input that we had previously. I'm going to just check if I've closed this one. No, I haven't. So I'll close it like that and copy, and then paste for this second value. And then what I want us to have here is a minimum of 1, because we are doing in days. Maybe for the mobile loans, maybe you find they give maybe between 30 days and 60 days, a maximum of that. And then this one is supposed to be period. So we have amount and we have period. So yes, I think we have it nicely. I want us to go to our Livewire class and be able to set the amount and the period properties. So I scroll to where we have loan calculator and I open it. No, this one is a blade file. We scroll upwards, up, Livewire, and then open loan calculator. And here I want us to declare public properties. So in this case, the first one is a public amount. For the amount, I'm going to leave it like that. And then public, this other one is a period, like that. And then after that, I want us to have the updated lifecycle hook. So we're going to have public updated, public function updated, like that. And what I want us to do is to listen to just a property. So today I don't want to tie it to a specific property, so I just want to just pass in property, so it can listen to both changes in the amount and changes in period, like that. And then I want us to go ahead and just check if we are able to listen to that. So here I'm going to just dd 1, 2, 3 to just see if we are able to invoke that updated hook, if we are able to change the inputs. So now we can be able to type in something here, and you can see we have a value that is being set here. I also want us to have, because it seems as if it's not displaying perfectly, because it's displaying in the middle, I want it to pick the values that are there that are supposed to be set initially. So let us work on that. Inside our Livewire class, I would like us to set the default values for amount 500 and the default value for the period as 1, like that. So I want to just refresh and you see. So I think we are very okay. So they are being set, and if I'm to remove whatever it is that we have here in updated, you will find that even before I remove it, you find that any change, a user can also just come in and type, and it will be able to control even the slider. You can see that method is hit when we have changes both for amount and when we have changes for the amount and the period. So basically that affects, once we have it like this, it affects all the properties that you have within your form. Anyone that is updated, then you will have something that will be triggered. So what I want us to do, I want us to be able to now set the values once we have an update to the amounts, or maybe to the period. But what I want to do is to modify our amount, because if I'm to remove this and go back to our form and try to move the slider, in this case it will move through all the amounts that you can imagine, and sometimes people would want some round figures of amounts, so you do not want to get a loan of 2,111. It sounds absurd. So for us to be able to do that, I just want us to do some rounding of the amount. So that is what I want us to do. So let us do it here. What I want us to do is to check if the property that we are dealing with is amount. So I'm going to have if property So in this case, sort of like we are looking for the name of whatever this property is. So if it is amount, then what I want us to do, I want us to go ahead and update it and do something to it. So what I want us to do is to take the amount and then round it off. So maybe I'm going to set to the property this amount, and when I do it like this, I'm referring to the property above. You have the arrow function, and then not the arrow function, and then I want us to do rounding off. I'm going to use sale, and what I'm going to do this amount, and then I will divide it by 50 because I want to round it off to 50, to the nearest 50. So I will divide by 50 and then multiply by 50. So if you are rounding off to 100, you will do something similar. So you'll divide by 100, multiply by 100, like that. And this you'll be able to set our property to a round figure. So let us try and see if that works. Refresh. And then now if we click here, now you can see it's changing to 4450. If I click here, it's changing, it's adding a 50. But if I change the period, it just changes and nothing else happens. So because there is we are not modifying it, sort of. I also want us to have a mount function, which in this case we will use to get the values from the database. But before I do that, let me first of all create the database. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to run the command php artisan make model. The name of our model, I want to just call it loan. And then I want to tag migrations. I'm going to hit enter. It has created for us the model and migrations. And so I'm intentioned to look at the migrations. So I'm going to open the migration table and be able to create some tables here. As I've said, what I'm doing is very simple, so it's not very complicated. If you want something a little bit complicated, you can maybe try and figure out something. So here we have table, string. The first thing I want is the name of the sort of, let me call it bank or mobile lender or whatever it is that one is. And then I want us to have the interest, and for interest I want it to be decimal data type, interest. And then for the others, I want us to have minimum amount. These ones I want them to be integer. So in integer, the data type. This one is minimum amount. So this, what all this means is that the amount that the lending agency can be, the minimum amount that the lending agency can be able to lend. And then we have the maximum amount. And then we have the minimum, let me do minimum period. These banks have different periods. So there is one that can be able to give you amounts from day 0 to day 60, and others maybe they will give you 30 days and then they can begin compounding afterwards. So we have minimum period, and then I also want us to have maximum period, max period, like that. So our table I think is okay. I want us to run the command php artisan migrate, And I want to just put in the values manually. I know some of you will you find it a little bit absurd, but let me just do that. So I'm going to open localhost phpMyAdmin. I'm going to add these values manually. Just allow me to do that. Probably we could be able to have created a factory and be able to add them like that. So I'm going to open my table Livewire 3 from scratch. I think that's our table, and we have our database, and we have a table here called loans, and I want to insert values. So the first bank, maybe I want to call it, I'm just going to give some names here. I'm going to call it Bank A, and then for Bank A the interest is 1.5 per day. The minimum amount that they can be able to lend to somebody is 500. The maximum amount, let me set it to 10,000. And then the minimum period is a single day. And the maximum period for this one, let us set it to 60 days. And then we can be able to save this one. I want us to have Bank B. Bank B, the interest is 1.7. Obviously, the reason why I'm saying this one is something that you can be able to know. You can even see, even by just looking at it, that you can be able to have one is offering at 1.7, another one at 1.5. Obviously, the 1.7 will be expensive. The minimum amount that this one can be able to issue a loan is 2,000. The maximum amount is 40,000. So beyond 40,000, if you want beyond 40,000, they will not be able to help you. And then the minimum period, I want it to be 30 days. Maybe we can be able to set it to 20 days, and the maximum 60. You can save this one. And then we will insert Bank 3, Bank C, Bank C, and for this one the interest is 1.4. Maybe we can have it like that. The minimum amount is they can offer 4,000 as a minimum, and then a maximum of 50,000, like that. The minimum period is 30 days, the maximum period is 60 days, like that. So I'm going to work with just the three that we have, and I will go back to our view, and I want us to create another card. So at the place where the previous card is ending at, and it's ending exactly here, I want us to have another card. So div class card, and we are going to close it. And inside here, I want us to have a div with a class of a card body. You close it like that, and then on top of that, so these ones are the cards that we are going now to display the different banks. So I want to refresh and see. The card is displaying, but it's holding tightly on the other one. I want to do as maybe a not so good solution, but since it's not what I'm interested so much to do, I just do a BR tag, and then as you can see, we have some nice sizing. So inside here, I want us to just spit out values. So the first thing I want us to have is interest. So in this case, you split the interest amount that you'll be charged on that loan, and then we can now have amount repayable. Like that. So those are the two things that we are going to have in this card. And since we have been able to load our values in the database, I want us to go ahead and be able to view them. And I think I can be able to just in between just have a BR tag. I wanted to do a column, a row, but I just have it like that way. And then of course above it we can have H1 or maybe H3, and here we can have the name of the bank, like that. So basically we have the name of the bank, the interest, and all that. And I think these ones I am a little bit doing them a little bit poorly. Let me just put a paragraph tag. I do not know why I am loving too much of shortcuts. Paragraph tag. This one I can also put a paragraph tag closing, so like that. I think it will just be fine. So here we have it looking like that. So you have the name of the bank, you pass it from the database, the interest, and the amount repayable. So let me go back to our Livewire component and be able to do something there. So what I wanted to do was to have something here which we are going to call loans, like that. So public loans, like that, and we are going to set values using a mounted hook. So amount hook. So what we are going to have is public mount, public function mount, and inside here I want us to pass in the value that you load for us, the loans. So I'm going to call the loan model above here, use app models loan, and then inside our mount function I'm going to have loans. It will be given by maybe I can use this property to just attach it to whatever it is that you're having here. So loans is equals to loan, and then I want us to have several queries. So in this case we can have where the minimum amount underscore amount. So we want, if a user gets that they can be able to borrow this specific amount for a specific period, it has to be something that matches the minimum amount, the maximum amount for the loan, the minimum amount, the maximum amount for the period. So it has to be within that sort of range. So here I'm going to check for minimum amount, and I want it to be less than the amount that we are passing. So in this case, the amount that we have, I want the minimum amount to be less than the amount that we are passing. So in this case, we can say this hyphen amount. And of course, we are going to chain more things here. So I'm also going to say where. Let me just move this a little bit to the side. So where, again, max underscore amount, and we can compare to, it has to be greater than or equals to the amount that you're passing in. So this amount like that. I would like to copy this one downward one more time, and I'm going to check for minimum period. It's supposed to be set to this period like that, and then maximum period now like that. And then of course we can chain get to be able to fetch our values like that. And so these ones will be loaded when the application is loaded, or in other words when it's mounted, so like that. So now I want us to go ahead now and be able to display the loans on our front end. So in this case, in our blade file. So what I'm going to do a loop, and here what I'm going to have a for each loop. So we can have for each loans as loan, and then we will have end for each like that. And here I want us to have the name of the bank. So in this case we called it, we will have it as loan, this variable that we have, bank, like that. So let me refresh and see if everything is fine. Obviously, if you need to do a check if the loan does not return any array, so you need to do a check there. But for this one, at least we are having a value, so we will not get an error at this instance. So we have that bank A is the one that can be able to issue things to us. And I want us to just calculate the interest on the blade file, and we can be able to do that by just picking the values and then calculating. So actually what we are going to do, the interest is going to be, so let me just put the curly braces here. The interest is going to be given by the amount multiplied by interest. The variable interest will be loan interest. That is how we can be able to access it. And then we are also going to multiply it by period. As I said, we are just doing simple interest, not compound interest. So we multiply by period, and then everything that we have we divide by 100. So let me just open some bracket here and then say divide by 1. Is it like that or like this? That division, I think it's like this, divide by 100. So let me refresh and see if there's a calculation for interest. Yes, the interest is 7.5 shillings or something, or amount, so it's in amounts. And then now for the amount repayable, I want us to just pass this here. We are going to paste this here, and I'm just going to say amount plus, because we have to add the interest to the initial amount that was lent. So in this case we can have amount and then just add like that. So basically what we have is that if we are getting this loan from bank A for a period of a day, at the end of that day, at the end of maybe the 24 hours, we are supposed to return 507.5 or something of that sort. And then I want us to be able to check for updates. Now, if somebody changes this value to maybe we add a 0, you can see it is updating. Now, if we change the period, now there's nothing that is happening. As you can see, even if we go to 20 days, whereby now the other values are supposed to update because there are loans that we can be able to issue between 20 days and then 30 days and 60 days, those ones are not displaying. And the reason why that is the case is now because we are using the mount method or the mount hook, they are not updating. So what I want to do is I want us to just have another method that we are going to call, so this is updated. I want us to have another method which I'm going to just call public function get loans, like that. And here I'm going to just pass exactly what we have here. So what we have here is what I'm going to pass in this method of ours, and then I can be able to call it when we have a property being updated. So in this case, I can call this method, I can say in PHP you can just say this and then get loans. I think that is how I have called it. Then once we close it, I think now our application will be able to update accordingly. So if I'm to refresh, we will reset to whatever it is that we have. So the amount repayable is that, and I want to increase the amount such that it can be able to capture every other bank. Now you can see we have bank B and C, and it's not displaying perfectly because the minimum and the maximum, they are just not working accordingly. Yes, and it's because of an error of something that I did not correct. In fact, that error is appearing on both fronts. So let me just correct that one. So for the minimum period, we are supposed to change this to less than. It should not be greater than. That one was an error of omission, I forgot. And this one also, you're supposed to change it like this, because at 500 shillings the period is not allowable for the other banks. So it's only bank A that is supposed to issue or lend money for a period of a day, because the others, there's one that lends 20 days for 20 days minimum, and then you can be able to do a little bit more up until 60. So basically, if we change it to 5,000, it should only show bank A. But if I change the period, the amounts you change that you're supposed to pay, obviously, I continue changing. But if I reach beyond 20, now bank B will appear. Okay? And now we can be able to compare bank A and bank B for the same amount of money lent. So for bank A, it is giving us an amount repayable of 65.75, and bank B is giving us 67.85. So in this case, bank B is way expensive. So we can be able to move also and move maybe a little bit above 30. And once we are above 30, also bank C is being displayed. But if you are to compare, bank A is giving us 7,325 for the whole amount that you're supposed to repay. This one is giving us 7,600, and this is giving us 7,170. So in this case, bank C will be the cheapest. So that is the end of this tutorial episode. Thank you very much for following up until this place. Please subscribe to my channel, give a like if you like the video, and you can also share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you.